After getting shipped off to Detroit with a bunch of picks, many wrote Jared Goff off the page, but now it seems like he could be the answer for the Lions. So how did we get here?
Good protection for Goff. Now throwing, end zone, it is caught for the touchdown.
Going first overall put quite a bit of pressure on Jared to lead the Rams back to greatness. But let's just say that he had help in the form of Todd Gurley and eventually Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods the following season. Nonetheless, going back to his rookie year, Jared was second on the depth chart behind Case Keenum for most of the year, but midway through that season he eventually earned the starting spot, and although he didn't play fantastic with more picks than touchdowns and only just over 1,000 yards, he was given the reins of the offense moving forward. Going into 2017, Jared was the guy, and now that he had help in the form of the aforementioned Kupp and Woods, he was able to take his game up a bunch of notches, as his over 3,128 touchdowns were able to help lead LA to a 13-3 record after going 4-12 the previous year. It didn't even matter that the Falcons smacked LA at home that playoffs, because the Rams were finally good again, and it seemed like only the start of something special for Goff, Gurley, Kupp, and the rest of the Rams. Well, it turns out that it was, as Jared was able to pass for over 4,000 yards back-to-back years, as LA quickly became one of the best teams in football, even though they had a very underwhelming showing against New England in the following Super Bowl.
2nd and 3, down the field they go! Gronkowski has it!
Nonetheless, things were going well for the Berkeley boy and the rest of LA, but even though Jared put up near identical stats to what he did the last few years straight, coming up short in the playoffs once again was the last straw before they sent him packing.
Detroit is dealing Matthew Stafford to the LA Rams in exchange for 2 future first-round picks, a 3rd-round pick, and Jared Goff.
Seems like LA was sick of coming up short time and time again, so they shipped off Jared and the next few years of draft picks for good old Matty Stafford. Honestly, it's hard to blame the decision because it ended up working out pretty dang well.
Unbelievable all year. And you know what? We appreciate you.
But let's just say that it threw Jared into a much more difficult situation than the one that he had in the City of Angels. Nonetheless, the Berkeley boy was now a Lion, and was going into a team that had just gone 5-12 with his replacement as a starter. So needless to say, expectations were low on what he would bring to the Motor City. Even though the expectations were practically non-existent, an 0-8 start was still rough, as Detroit was not just losing, but getting demolished by pretty much every single team they matched up against. Usually this is the point where I'd say that he turned it around and start winning games, but they only won 3 of them the rest of the season to end the year an abysmal 3-13-1. Considering that a 10-6 2020 season with the Rams was underwhelming, Jared's first year in Detroit was a massive reality check to say the least, and yet he didn't even do that bad. In 14 games, he put up just over 3,200 yards and 19 touchdowns, along with this time only 8 picks, which is all the more impressive when you consider that his wide receiver 1 was a rookie, and the Lions as a whole were just not great. The season pretty much went as expected, with Jared in a completely new environment with the Lions. But although it didn't look great on paper, the Berkeley boys' production was a good sign, considering that he had a career best over 67 completion percentage and the 3rd highest QBR of his entire career. So at the very least, there were some positives in what seemed like a dumpster fire of a season. After what happened in 21, going into the following year, expectations were once again razor thin, especially considering that the team as a whole was nearly identical. And upon that, Dan Campbell was going into only his 2nd year as a head coach. But let's just say that things aren't always how they seem.
Out of the pocket, taking a shot downfield, and free is Raymond!
Sometimes low expectations lead to bad play, but on the other hand, sometimes they lead to situations where underrated cats surprise a lot of people, and that's exactly what happened with Detroit. Not only did Jared just impress, but so did USC standout Amon-Ra St. Brown and former Green Bay stud Jamal Williams.
Going outside, there's a lot of room over here. Williams, Hamlin, got away from him.
Unlike the previous year, this time after a rough 1-6 start, Jared and the Lions were able to turn the tides and finish off the year 8-2 to end the season 9-8, as crazy enough they just barely missed a chance at the playoffs because of this.
And hope springs eternal.
Sorry to stop the video, but since you're here, it'd be awesome if you could subscribe, like, turn on post notifications, and comment down below if you think Jared Goff is the answer for the Lions. But anyways, back to the video. After playing pretty dang well the previous year, Jared was able to take his game up a notch in 22, with this time over 4,400 yards and 29 touchdowns passing, as he was able to earn a spot on his first Pro Bowl team since 2018. And when you add that to the fact that he led the Lions to a 9-8 record, and upon that was a field goal away from earning them a spot in their first playoffs in half a decade, I would say that he more than proved that he didn't need a stacked roster to play well.
Looking for more here. He's got a man deep. It's Raymond.
Unexpected things happen quite often in the NFL considering just how much talent is littered across the league, but Jared Goff leading the Lions to a 9-8 season behind some of the best play of his career is definitely up there. And yet, I think it's only the beginning for the Berkeley boy. Since the team is full of young studs, they should only get better year after year, especially for what could be the next superstar wide receiver for the Lions in Amon-Ra St. Brown, who somehow made a Pro Bowl in only his second season in Detroit, and let's just say that I doubt it will be his last.
Detroit's doing Goff passes it this time. Throws it. St. Brown!
If Jared and Amon are able to keep doing their thing, I think they have what it takes to become one of the best quarterback-wide receiver duos in the league sooner than you would expect. You gotta keep in mind that as a rookie, Amon was able to put up over 900 yards and 5 touchdowns, and then followed it up with over 1,150 yards and 6 touchdowns in his sophomore season. So at that pace, I think he could very well be one of the best receivers in football next year, even if that sounds a bit wild. People underestimate the importance of experience and chemistry when it comes to young players, especially on teams that haven't had a history of all that much success like Detroit. Although the league is packed with talent, since the NFC is not nearly as strong as it has been in the past, it's much more open for Jared and the Lions to potentially make a run as long as they're able to stay healthy and keep doing their thing.
Goff takes, looking for 2, back, throws, end zone, caught, 2 points.
Many analysts think Jared is a top 10 quarterback after the season that he put together in 22. And honestly, I'd have to agree, because crazy enough, he was able to put up a top 5 QBR, was tied for the 5th most touchdowns, and upon that had the 6th most passing yards in the league that year. So needless to say, the stats prove it. Now it's just on Jared to back it up with another great season in 23. It's much easier said than done for any player to follow up what was a career year, especially for a quarterback that many have overlooked time and time again. Although it seems like that is changing quickly, with even a superstar like Tyreek Hill saying that he would play for him. Add that to the fact that the OC and Ben Johnson is returning, along with most of the team, and I think Jared Goff and the Lions could be a dark horse contender next year, even if it may sound crazy considering how quickly everything has happened.
Protection. Goff gets hit. Pass is caught. Touchdown, Detroit.
No matter how much praise he's gotten and how out of the blue Jared's play was last season, since it's the NFL, there are no guarantees. So even though head coach Dan Campbell is confident that they can win with Jared at Q, it doesn't mean that the Lions won't at least entertain the idea of trying to see what's out there, especially in a quarterback class with talents like Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. Nonetheless, Jared Goff proved that he has what it takes to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFC. So with time, I think he could develop into a centerpiece for what could be one of the most underrated franchises in the league. But hey, that's just my opinion. Do you guys think that Jared Goff has what it takes to lead the Lions to the top of the football world? Or was this season just lightning in a bottle? Comment down below your thoughts. Jared Goff has been looked over and counted out ever since he got into the league, but now it seems like he's finding his own in Detroit. So needless to say, it's going to be pretty dang exciting to see what he'll be able to do next.
Gets him inside.
Here we go. Goff from the gun to the end zone. It is caught.
Thanks for watching the video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to subscribe, like, turn on post notifications, and comment down below stuff you want next. But anyway, see you all soon, and have a good rest of your day.
Jared Goff, that's for 26, and he gets a pat from Aaron Rodgers.